Hello and welcome to the Ross Cloud Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Ross Sr., and this platform was created to motivate and to inspire in hopes that you will become a better you. I hope everybody's doing well today. I'd like to say hello to all of our listeners in North Carolina. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to our listeners in Virginia. Thank you to our listeners in California, in Arizona. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate you guys for listening and supporting and downloading. Keep downloading those episodes. We're a little late getting our episodes out. We are slowly but surely pulling things together here at our new office here in Greensboro, North Carolina, where we are in transition and continuing to build. So being that I'm doing most of the work by myself and I have to squeeze in a podcast when I can, and I truly hope you guys will understand that. And we do thank you so much, and we'll try to be a little bit more consistent as time goes by, but bear with us as we continue to grow this platform. We don't want to lose you. We appreciate you guys for listening. Thank you to our listeners in Washington, D.C. and Baltimore, and those that are listening in Philadelphia and Washington State, out there in California. Thank you for listening. To our listeners in Florida, thank you for listening. Thank you so much to our Brussels, Belgium community. Bonjour to you all. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. Thank you to our listeners in Russia. Thank you so much for listening to our listeners in Panama City, Panama. Buenos dias, señorita and señor. Thank you so much for listening. And if there's anybody that I've missed, I want to say, first of all, I'm sorry. It's quite a bit to remember, but thank you so much for listening. So listen, we're going to tackle a subject on today that I felt like, hey, I'll give it a shot at it. And again, I'm not an expert, but I've lived 51 years, so I'm sure I can help you navigate through some things to help you navigate through your life in hopes that you don't make some of the same mistakes that I've made. And just wanted to share a little bit of my wisdom, things that I've learned and that have literally changed the trajectory of my life. And I am super, super excited about sharing it with you. This is Mental Health Awareness Month, so I said, why not tackle anger on today? Let's tackle anger on today, all right? That word anger, I'm sure we all have dealt with anger at some point in our lives. Hopefully you have dealt with your anger in a good way, though. Find a way to use your anger the proper way and not the wrong way, so that you don't hurt yourself, you don't hurt someone else, and you don't damage any property or end up in prison or in jail for a very, very long time. And we don't want that. Or possibly lose your life. We don't want to see you do that. So control that anger. So anger is a topic that we're going to talk about today. And let me give you the definition of that word. That word is a strong feeling of annoyance, displeasure, or hostility. That's the definition of it, of anger. Strong feeling of annoyance, displeasure, or hostility. Now, there are three types of anger. There's passive aggressive, open aggression, and assertive anger. Anger is a negative state that is typically associated with hostile thoughts, psychological arousal, and manipulative behaviors. It usually develops in response to the unwanted actions of another person who is perceived to be disrespectful, demeaning, threatening, or neglectful. Anger is a secondary emotion, like fear, loss, or sadness first, because these emotions create feelings of vulnerability and a loss of control. They make us uncomfortable. One way of attempting to deal with these feelings is to subconsciously shift. So the question is, how do we shift and change that anger? How do we keep ourselves from being angry? How do we do that, right? So let's talk about 3 types of anger. I think I said them at the beginning. That's passive behavior, open aggression, assertive anger. So these are some things that you can look up, that you can look for in other people when it comes to anger. All right. Passive behavior. Number 1, if a person's staying quiet when someone criticizes you unjustly, not speaking up when someone leaves you out of the conversation, going along with someone else's plans when you wish you were doing something else. Those are 3 things to look for in a person who has passive behavior. Now, here's one, open aggression. Number 2, when you openly lash out in anger and rage and sometimes become verbally or physically abusive. Now, out of those three things, I'm sure some of us have probably dealt with open aggression, right? Maybe not physical abuse, but maybe you've done the verbal thing or the lashing out at someone, right? We all have had some type of open aggression, whether you curse somebody out openly, or maybe you curse somebody openly and they wasn't there. I'm guilty of that. So we all have shown open aggression, right? And at that moment, you're probably weak. You're weak. Something has upset you, and you don't know how to control it. So, and then there's assertive anger. Assertive anger is thinking before you speak, being confident in how you say it, yet open and inflexible to the other side. Being patient, not raising your voice, communicating how you are feeling emotionally, and really trying to understand what others are feeling. Right? So out of those 3 types of anger, I would say assertive is the healthiest way to deal with anger. Anger. The question is, why are you angry? Maybe a person or a place or a thing has angered you. The question is, why you're angry? What causes a person to be enraged? Well, I just shared with you a few of those things. And a few of these behaviors, I probably personally, with the first 2, I'm a witness to the first 2. I personally had an encounter with both of these behaviors, passive behavior and open aggression. And listen, I can't talk about you, but I can talk about myself. And I believe that transparency brings us closer to our truths. I can remember a time when I was angry. I worked for a middle school in the past. I was angry. I was a janitor at the time. Wasn't happy about the job. I was just happy that I had a job. I was a janitor at a middle school. I won't say the middle school, but I can remember being very angry. I got fired on my day off. And I know we have heard people say that. How in the hell did you get fired on your day off, brother? Or somewhere in there, some miscommunication happened. And at the time, my firstborn son, he was being born. He was, my wife at the time, she was delivering my son. And I remember specifically saying to the person in charge, which would be the assistant manager. Excuse me for stuttering. I guess I'm thinking about it, right? But God knows I'm past it. God knows I am. But just thinking about the horrific thing that I did, it really, really made me take a step back and look at Chris. And I would challenge you to look over your life and see some of the things that have angered you. Now, I could have dealt with that in so many different ways. I was angry when I got fired. And upon me getting fired, I lost it. I had a moment of insanity. And I literally had a moment of insanity. And one of the things that happened was I thought about it. I was like, how in the world did I get fired on my day off? And secondly, I was like the second person in command, which would have been my lead. How in the world did the communication break down? How did it mess up? And how is it that I got fired on that absolute day that I was off and my child was born on that day? The day that I got fired was the day that my son was born. And I remember I was quiet at first. I actually went in with a level head. I actually went in and said, hey, they're telling me that I'm fired. Because, of course, I heard from my lead that I had gotten fired. And so I went to the front office. I went to the office and I said, hey, where's such and such, the assistant principal at the time. And they said, well, hey, man, we had to fire you because you didn't put in your time. I said, what? I said, I gave you the paperwork. I gave the lead the paperwork. So somewhere in there, the paperwork got lost. I got fired and I lost my head. The only thing I was thinking about is I got to take care of my family at the time. I was like, oh my God, I'm getting fired. I got fired on my day off. I got child support I have to pay, plus take care of my family. So all of those things were all in my head, and I remember losing it. I remember cursing out openly. I communicated a threat to him, which, that can get you, you can go to jail for that. So at any rate, of course, they pressed charges because I was real close to putting hands on the gentleman. Thank God I didn't, for the both of us. Thank God I didn't, because I'd probably be doing time for aggravated assault, and I did it in a school where children were, screaming to the top of my voice. Not good, right? But thank God that he delivered me out of that situation. And so what I'm saying to you is, look at you. Pay attention to you. Pay attention to your behaviors. And always ask a question, why am I behaving this way? Ask questions. It's the same thing they're going to ask you if you go to therapy. Needless to say, thank God I went to therapy and all is well in that sense. I'm good. I'm over my anger. I don't get angry like that anymore. As God has delivered me from my anger, I've learned to go ahead and voice it. Try not to keep it in. I still got to work on a few things when it comes to anger, but I'm nothing like I used to be. And congratulate yourself on those small leaps and bounds that you make whenever you're facing difficult times when it comes to your anger. Find a way. Find a way to navigate through it. Just find a way. You don't need to be hitting or physically doing anything to anyone because you're mad. Maybe your father wasn't around. Maybe you went through someone doing something to hurt your feelings. Maybe somebody said something about you that even might be true or not true. There's still a different way that you have to handle your anger. Not spewing venom at that individual. Not being angry, meaning with your words, because we know nowadays we have to be mindful of people's conditions that they have mentally. We don't know why a person is angry. We oftentimes say, man, you need to take a chill pill. You need to woosah. But you don't know why that person is angry. So again, I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to talk about you. I'm not even here to point the finger at you if you're dealing with your anger. I'm just trying to send a message that says, hey, being angry, it's understandable. You have a right to be angry. If we would reflect or if we refer to the Bible tells us to be angry and sin not. What do you mean? In other words, if you're not a believer, if you don't believe in God, and you're not familiar with that scripture, then it's like this. If somebody smacks you, I can't say what you're going to do, right? You might smack them back. But you don't want to kill them. You don't want to stab them. That's what I look at when I look at be angry and sin not. We here turn the other cheek. But I don't think too many people nowadays will turn the other cheek. I think people will smack your tail back if you smack them out of anger. Right? So be mindful of those things. You never know what a person is going through in a day. They might lash out at you, but you don't know why they lashed out. I'm not justifying anger. We're talking about it. You know how many times have a person crossed you in traffic and you get to cussing and going off at the handle, you stick your middle finger up, hey buddy, what the heck is wrong with you? And you don't say heck, you say what the hell is wrong with you, right? And stick your middle finger up at them. Now some people can handle that finely, but just what would happen if out of your anger they turn that pistol around and they fire at you and shoot and kill you? There's an incident that happened in Georgia that my dad was sharing with me. There was a lady who was dealing with road rage, and the person crossed in front of her. She decided that she was going to drive her car. Now, I don't know all the details, so I'm paraphrasing a little bit of these details, okay? I'm just basing it off what my father shared with me, and I may be off a little bit. I'll give you an example. The lady was driving down the highway. I assumed that it was 20 or 95 or 20 east, that's say, or 20 west, going to like you're going towards Alabama. Let's assume. Anybody that travels to Atlanta on a regular know what I mean. I'm going from 95 to 20. And you say, hey, man, this person just pissed me off. They just crossed in front of me. And she decided she was going to deal with it. And so she pulls up, shot him the middle finger, and cursed him out, I would imagine, based off of what my father said. Well, that person took offense to it, pulled up beside them, put beside her, and shot her in the face. And the thing is, it didn't kill her. And my dad said after she got out of the hospital, I think it hurt her pretty bad, though, because, like I said, it put her in the hospital, but it didn't kill her. But she said to people, don't get angry and don't do road rage. Road rage, it's real. She sent a message to the folks out there like, it's not worth it. Let them cross in front of you and just keep going. As difficult as it is, we all are trying to get somewhere. But we never, ever know what a person is going through mentally or emotionally at that time that they piss you off. And so if we would stop and think for a moment before we make a decision to go off on the deep end, then we want to make sure that we don't do the wrong thing. If you're sad and you're angry, I get it. But find a way to cope with your anger. You have a right. You have a right to be happy. Maybe you went through a divorce and you're mad as hell at that guy. Maybe you're going through a divorce and you're mad as hell at that woman. Or maybe you're in a non-traditional relationship and you're angry with that person or your partner. Let's say that, your partner or your lover. Don't let your anger spew out and you hurt somebody. You got to find a way to cope with your anger. Find a different way. So let's talk about some different ways, some healthier ways that you can deal with anger. I like to do this right here. Let me show you what I do. If I'm angry, I'm mad about something. Me and my spouse, we disagree about something. And I mean, I'm hot. We in a heated debate. We in a heated disagreement. You hear me? And one thing you can do, and that's don't act like we don't get upset with our spouses. That's act like we don't get upset with our lovers, because it's normal, again, to be angry. It's an emotion. You're allowed to be angry, but don't sin. Don't do anything to hurt anybody. Don't do anything to physically abuse anybody. And don't tear up nobody's stuff. And don't tear up your house. And don't tear up, just don't do nothing to damage anything. All right? It's okay to be angry and sin not. All right? Be mad. Be angry. Shoot. I like to go on the other side of the house and yell to the top of my voice. And then come out just as calm and say, okay, baby, what do we need to talk about? Find a way to do it. Find some humor in what you're arguing about. Find a way. Now, your spouse might not like it too hot now. So if I was you, I'd let her cool off. Go in the other room. So let's talk about some different ways. Here's some ways to consider coping mechanisms to deal with your anger. All right, here we go. And this is through Anger Management, 10 Tips to Tame Your Temper. Here we go. It's Mayo Clinic. So check out mayoclinic.org if you're having some issues with your anger. All right. Number one, think before you speak. Mm-hmm. Think before you speak. All right. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to say something you'll later regret. Take a few moments to collect your thoughts before saying anything. Also, allow others involved in the situation to do the same. Absolutely. Give them a moment to process this anger. Give them a moment to cool off. Give your spouse a moment to cool off. If you got to go in the other room and shout to the top of your voice, I don't see nothing wrong with that. Just like I said, just don't tear nothing up. And then sit quietly to yourself. All right? And then go out and talk about it. So number two, once you're calm, like I just said, once you're calm, express your concerns. That's number two. As soon as you're thinking clearly, express your frustrations in an assertive but non-confrontational way. Now, I know that's a challenge for most folks, not to be non-confrontational. But being assertive is a healthier way, as stated before, a healthier way to cope with your anger. You can be assertive and still get your point across. You got to think clearly. So state your concerns and needs clearly and directly without hurting others or trying to control them. Right? Don't come with that manipulation, all right? Get out of here with the manipulation and control, all right? Number three, get some exercise. Woo. Physical activity can help reduce stress that can cause you to become angry. If you feel your anger escalating, go for a brisk walk or run, or spend some time doing other enjoyable activities. If you got to walk around your housing development or your apartment complex, man, go take a walk and cool off. It may help you, act, kind of woosah a little bit and get that off of you, Go take a walk. Number 4, take a time out. The same thing we tell children. I don't know if people still do that, but maybe you tell them, get over there and take a time out. And listen, time out aren't just for kids. Give yourself short breaks during times of the day that tend to be stressful. A few moments of quiet time might help you feel better prepared to handle what's ahead without getting irritated or angry. So yeah, give yourself a timeout. Number 5, identify possible solutions. Instead of focusing on what made you mad, work on resolving the issue at hand. In other words, what's pissing you off? Does your child's messy room make you upset? Close the door. Is your partner late for dinner every night? Schedule meals later in the evening, or agree to eat on your own a few times a week. Exactly. A great way to adjust to whatever is pissing you off, whatever's making you angry, right? Number 6, stick with I statements. Criticizing or placing blame might only increase tensions. Instead, use I statements to describe the problem. Be respectful, and specific. For example, let me give you an example. Say, I'm upset that you left the table without offering to help with the dishes. Instead of, you never do any housework. Listen, guys, those of you that have partners, those of you that have lovers, listen, guys, a male or female, please don't say that to your spouse or your partner or your lover. Okay, don't say that. Don't say you never do any housework. Man, I'm telling you, get ready for a fight, Don't do it. All right. Find a different way to say it. Change your statement up, okay? Don't hold a grudge. You know that old saying, don't go to sleep at night. Forgiveness is a powerful tool. If you allow anger and other negative feelings to crowd out positive feelings, you might find yourself swallowed up by your own bitterness or sense of injustice. Forgiving someone who angered you might help you both learn from the situation and strengthen your relationship. The one thing that I've always heard said is, from my mother, I've heard, forgiveness is for you. All right? So forgive. I'm telling you, it's a powerful tool if you just do it. All right? So don't hold grudges. Number 8, use humor to release tensions. Lighting up can help diffuse tensions. Use humor to help you face what's making you angry and possibly any unrealistic expectations you have or how things should go. Avoid sarcasm. Please throw it out the door. Though it can hurt feelings, it makes things worse. I'm telling you, it does. All right. Don't be sarcastic. All right. Just don't do it. You headed for trouble. All right. Practice relaxation skills. Ooh, yes, sir. Breathing works. When your temper flares, put relaxation skills to work. And listen, I know these things sound like crazy to do, but no, you know what? They don't sound crazy to do. Just try them. All right? Just try them. Find out what works for you and then do that. That's why I'm giving you these tips. All right? Practice deep breath exercises. Imagine a relaxing scene or repeat a calming word or phrase such as, hey, take it easy. You might also listen to music. write in a journal, or do a few yoga poses, whatever it takes to encourage relaxation. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I ain't doing no yoga poses. I just cannot see or even fathom how my body can bend in some of those positions. So out of those, whatever works for you, do that. All right. Number 10, know when to seek help. Learning to control anger can be a challenge at times. Seek help for anger issues if your anger seems out of control or causes you to do things you regret or hurt those around you. In other words, if you need some help for your anger, please get it. All right? Don't hurt anybody in the process. All right? If you're angry, get you some help. And being that this is Mental Health Awareness Month, I want to give you guys a few things that can help you if you can't. If these 10 options that we have said, these coping mechanisms that you can use to help you navigate through anger, if it doesn't seem to work, then it sounds like just what was said at the end. And again, those tips, those 10 tips came from MayoClinic.org. That's healthy lifestyle. It's adult health. But these tools can also, your kids can use these tools as well, if they're dealing with anger and they're upset. So listen, it is Mental Health Awareness Month. So I want to make sure I give you this number, and we'll probably do this ongoing. Because mental health is all the time. People deal with it all the time. Find out what's going on with your family members. Find out why they're angry. Find out why they're upset. And if they don't want to talk to them, they don't want to talk to you about why they're angry, then allow them that time to get it together. And I'm sure at some point they'll come around. But if they need some assistance, let me give you some help. Let me give you some tools that can point you in the right direction, some professionals that can help you. All right, here's if you're dealing with suicide prevention lifeline. It's the suicide prevention lifeline, and it is open 24/7. That number is 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255 if you're dealing with suicide, suicidal thoughts. That is the lifeline. That's 1-800-273-8255, and that is available to you 24/7. There is a Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services National Helpline. That's 1-800-662-HELP-4357. That's 1-800-662-HELP-4357, and that's for those that are dealing with substance abuse and mental health. Those services are available to you. And then you can go to www.samhsa.gov. You can go to that website. There are resources available for you on that website. That's www.samhsa.gov. All right. And then mentalhealth.gov. That's 1-800-273-TALK. That's 8255. That's 1-800-273-TALK, 8255. And then for our veterans, we have the Veterans Crisis Line. That number is 1-800-273-8255. So I hope that this talk about anger can help you become a better you. Listen. Take care of yourself. Love yourself enough to find out why. Why am I angry? And the word anger. So I hope you can use this as a resource. Again, I am not a therapist. I am not a professional. The things that I'm sharing with you are resources that have helped me to overcome my fight and my bout with anger. So I hope that this will help you become a better you. Listen, if you want those numbers again, or if you just want to reach out to us and you don't have the ability to be able to download, or you don't know how to download, and you want us to give you those numbers again, we officially have a phone number where you can leave us a message. And I hope that we're saying something that really can help you. I'm trying to convey this information to you the best that I can. And as I talk to you, I talk to myself. You can call us here at the office at 743-205-1452. And you will have the ability to leave a message. That's 743-205-1452. Or if you'd like to email us, if you have some thoughts about our show, please do so. Please do so. We ask that you will be very respectful to us, and as we will be respectful to you, and we'll try our best to answer you as you email us your questions and your concerns. We will try to answer them to the best of our ability. And we'll try to meet the needs and do our best to get professionals actually on this show that can help you navigate through anger. All right. So you can reach us at that email at rosscloudpodcast@gmail.com. That's rosscloudpodcast@gmail.com. Listen, thank you for listening. This is the Ross Cloud Podcast, and I'm your host, Carl Ross Sr. Make it a great day and keep being great. And remember, he who angers you controls you. Peace.